on 1116 SEN. Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Good afternoon and good evening, folks. Welcome to Chasing Birdies. We're live tonight from X-Golf here in Malvern. Packed house once again, everybody having fun. And we're going to talk to Daniel Long very, very soon about everything that's happening down here at X-Golf Malvern. We're also speaking with Stacey Keating. Her name's Stacey Peters these days. Multiple winner on the Ladies Professional Tour. She's got a new job at Golf Australia. And speaking of Golf Australia, their media manager, Mark Hayes. Just go to golf.org.au. All the good yarns are up. And Mark Hayes will bring us a little bit of what's happening over there. Have a look at these people. They don't realise they are in the presence of greatness, because right next to me, look at them, they don't know what's going on. This bloke, folks, he beat Greg Norman at Huntingdale back in 1999 in the Australian Masters. Hit a 6-iron to this far, and they don't know who you are, Craigie.
You have got them up
Craig
and about,
Spence.
Marco.
Thank
How are
you,
you?
guys. Oh, I'm well, mate. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Am I allowed to live off that? How long am I allowed to live off that for?
Well, that's 18 years ago, basically. It's your 20-year anniversary. What are we going to do for the 20-year anniversary?
You've been promising me you'd have a beer with me.
We might go to Vegas. we might go to Vegas. Hey, lots to talk. I want to delve into your golfing psyche a little bit later. I haven't spoken to you about this, but
DJ.
Yes.
Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, and Jordan Spieth.
Well,
we've got to do the right thing. We've got to pay the bills, because Daniel Long, who runs X-Golf Malvern, is right next to me. And again, Daniel, nice to have you on the program, but even better to see a packed house down here at Malvern again.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Yeah, it's all happening today. It's finals time in the AFL, NRL, and here at X-Golf as well.
Are you still singing a song before the grand final?
Oh, we just had a bit of a snippet before.
You got some real problems.
They wanted more, but we just have to release it a little by little. Yeah.
Hey, now, what's happening tonight? I've got here on your sheet. When I walk through, I could see eclectic here at X-Golf.
Yeah. So what's happening tonight is actually we've got the semi-finals of the X-Ball competition, which has been going on throughout the footy season. They're actually playing for 2 memberships at Riversdale Golf Club if they win.
4 memberships?
Really?
4 memberships, yeah.
Hey,
you're kidding me.
That's value.
Good. Yeah.
So if you come down on a Wednesday night, one of the grand prizes eventually is a membership at Riversdale Golf Club?
That's our weekend comp. So we've got 2 comps running here tonight.
Right.
So, yeah, with the X-Ball, it's a 4-ball competition, and that's concluding to an end. The next X-Ball season will start in October, which is the summer season. But in between, we have the eclectic.
So how do you win this? So eclectic's like everyone does an eclectic. A lot of golf clubs do an eclectic, which they look at your golf holes right through the week, and if you've played them all, if you've eagled every hole, your score's 36 under.
Yeah, that's right. So it's running for the whole month of September at a course called Interburgo in Korea. The reason why we like to choose it, because it's got a par 6 on the night.
You like that?
We like that.
I like it.
How long is a par 6 these days?
I think it's about 660 metres.
Okay, that's a par 5 at
for DJ it is.
There's a 660 metres, not 660 yards, like DJ.
That's right.
Drive a 4-iron to that one at Bridgestone.
Can we go back to the 2 memberships?
Yeah.
Which is that for the eclectic, or is that for the summer?
No,
for the
that's for what they're playing for tonight.
The semi-final of the X-Ball.
Oh, the X-Ball.
And is that a pairs competition?
It's a pairs competition.
Right. So both, obviously, players will receive a full membership for 12 months.
That's right, for 12 months.
Mate, what's second prize?
Second prize is a table for 10 at MRC on Caulfield Cup Day.
The Melbourne Racing Club, Caulfield Cup Day, a table for 10.
Yep.
That's
Are
good.
you kidding me?
That's pretty good too.
What's that
Mate,
worth?
if I'm those guys, I'm splitting it. Let's split it.
True. Yeah.
It's enormous.
If you want to be strategic, you can be.
So lots of good reasons to get yourself a little team organised.
That's right,
So
yeah.
when's the next season start?
The next season for the X-Ball is in October.
Rightio.
Yeah.
Same prizes?
Similar prizes, yeah.
Similar prizes?
Yeah. We're still actually confirming them, but it will be something around the same mark.
And how long will that run for, that next X-Ball competition?
Until the start of the footy season.
Right, which is
Right
until
6 months.
Yeah.
March, April-ish.
March, April.
5
Yeah.
months.
Yep.
Oh, sensational.
Yeah.
Now, are there any other nights where you've got an X League happening?
Yeah, so with X League, we've got the Monday night starting on September 11.
Not far away.
Not far away at all.
Easy date to remember too, unfortunately.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the winners were actually the House of Golf. They were triumphant in the last series against a team called Commonwealth and Co.
Yeah, right. What sort of prizes were for that one, if you don't mind me asking? I'm intrigued now.
They get about $600.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So
to spend wherever? Or?
To spend wherever.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep. So if you've got a team of 3, just register, come in and have a hit. If you've got a handicap, we'll base your handicap off your Golf Link handicap. If you don't, we can give you one as well. And then you'll administer your X-League handicap from then on.
Each time you come in.
Yeah.
What's your handicap, Ongi? In here?
In here?
Yeah.
-2.
What is it out there?
-3.
So it's close.
It's close.
It's pretty good.
Isn't that called +2 and +3?
+2, but it's easier to explain sometimes.
No, it's not. Mate, when you play a stroke round, you add 2 shots on.
I agree.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
You don't take shots away. It's what everybody else does.
I agree,
Oh, yeah.
but sometimes it's easier.
All right, so Monday League still available. Amazing prizes going on at the moment. You've really got to come down and get involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Sports clubs now, what's going on here? I
Yes.
see we've got some a name up for sports club, and you're going to be the sponsor.
Yeah, so we're looking for sports clubs to sponsor around the local area. So if you are in the local area and you have a sporting club, please give us a call or send us an email. Because we like to support our local base. Currently, even in the semi-finals, we've got Camberwell Magpies Cricket Club that we sponsor, and they're participating in the semi-finals trying to get the Riversdale memberships.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Caulfield Bears Football and Netball Club as well on board.
Oh, that's sensational, mate.
Yeah, and they won the premiership, I think. The netball team.
You got the Midas touch.
Yeah, that's right. So you come on us, you win the premiership nearly.
I'm looking for a sponsor. I'm in a basketball team this year.
Yeah.
We're looking for a sponsor. Maybe I'm going to talk to you afterwards.
Oh, Chris Golding's already come to talk to me.
I saw Chris today, and he brought in Josh Boone.
Oh, did he?
He doesn't play golf, but Chris is loving it. Shot 92 today.
Plays here a lot.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
All right,
we met each other at Rio last year.
Oh, that's right. The
Yes.
Olympics.
Yep.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Too good. Righto. So the eclectic stuff, the Monday Night X League, all set to go. Get yourself a team of 3.
Yep.
Make sure you come down and
Definitely.
say hello to the guys.
Yep.
Get involved there. And if you're a sports club near Melbourne, maybe a sponsorship from X Golf.
Yeah.
Right up your alley.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Hey, Daniel, thanks for coming in.
No problems. Thanks
You're
for
on
having me.
+3 too.
Plus three, yeah.
+3 and
That's right.
+2.
+3, +2.
Remember that. You've been
Okay,
a
I'll
pro
remember.
for a long
I'll
time.
remember.
Daniel Long there from X Golf here in Melbourne. There's a fantastic family down here at X Golf Melbourne. They look after everybody. Drinks, look, everyone's having a beer and a pizza and having plenty of fun. Good on you, buddy.
Okay.
Craigie, I want to talk to you about Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth and John Rahm, all featured in the first week of the FedEx Cup, all with bowed left wrists.
Yes.
I don't think Jordan's got a closed club face, but the bowed left wrist is a factor.
Yep.
Dusty definitely has a massively bowed left wrist. What are you seeing?
Let's explain to the listeners
Well, a
what a
shut
bowed
face.
left wrist is.
Well, it's when your fingers, if you make a fist,
If you make a fist.
with your left wrist, and put your fingers down to your.
Is that supinate?
Oh, no, that's. Oh, I forgot what that was. Cupped.
Yeah.
And no, that's, I just call
So
it closed.
you create a bit of a curve, a
There's a
natural
curve.
curve with your
So if your
wrist.
fingernails go down to your wrist, that is
Yep.
a bowed wrist, and you can
Yep.
actually feel the tension in the back of your back of your hand when you do it.
Yep.
We're seeing it a lot. Tom Watson had a bowed wrist.
Yep.
Arnold Palmer had a bowed wrist. Lee Trevina had a bowed wrist. It was the first guy, Daniel Steele, who won the career Grand Slam. Little bloke. Shot around. Gene Sarrazin.
Genie.
Gino had a bowed wrist.
Did Woozy have a bowed left wrist?
He might have.
But those 3 big ones you mentioned a minute ago are unique, aren't they?
Yes.
Is the modern swing heading the way of the setting up impact the whole way round? And for our listeners, the bowed left wrist is essentially setting up impact, isn't it?
Yes.
You're setting up with your hands in position,
At
so
the
you
top.
don't have to release them as much. You don't have to. You can almost hold the club face off through impact.
Yeah, so well, this is what we've been saying with Dustin Johnson for a long time, is that because his club face comes into the ball in a traditionally closed position, then the blade actually stays squarer, let's say 2 or 3 inches each side of the ball, than it does for someone like, I don't know, who? Greg Norman. I don't know. Well, even Greg Norman had kind of a closed club face there towards the end of his career and stretched it out.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I keep on harking back to the beautiful pictures of Ben Hogan with the toe almost facing straight down.
Yeah.
And that's always been the model in my head. But
Well,
the more I'm watching the modern player, the more I'm seeing this bowed left wrist hitting the ball a million miles with a fade.
Well, that is the extraordinary thing, is that all these guys with these strong club face angles and like you said, bowed left wrist, are moving the ball left to right. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And
keeps it even squarer through impact. Doing this sort of thing.
But what that does is also allows them, if they hit the fade with the face like that, they can get the club face or the club online more.
Yeah.
They don't come from the inside as much. They get the club. For our listeners, that means that you won't sort of come from the inside and flip around the ball.
Nope.
You will get the club out away from your body more, so it would deliver on top of the shot more.
And certainly the term compressed is used a lot in amateur play.
Yep.
Though everyone wants to compress the ball, well, this is a kind of a surefire way to do it. Now, I want to talk to you because I've said a number of times when you were a kid coming through, nobody hit it better than Craig Spence.
Yep.
Nobody. And I saw Robert Allenby play as a kid. I saw Stuart Appleby play as a kid. I saw Aaron Badley play a lot as a kid. And you hit the ball better than all those characters. You had a shut club face.
Yeah, I did. I had a bowed left wrist.
And look, something in my mind tells me that you kind of had a bit of a fiddle with the bowed left wrist and the and the shut club face, because nobody at that time had crashed through the wall, had they? No one had crashed through the wall with a shut club face. Now, if you were a kid now and you saw Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, John Rahm, all playing beautifully with a shut club face and a bowed left wrist, would you have bothered trying to change?
Well,
I doubt very much you would have.
But
if you would have been part of their club.
If the person can hit the shots, which he clearly can, those gentlemen clearly can hit the shots, right? Yep. You wouldn't. I think we've got to be careful, Marco, because we all of a sudden we can't say that the bowed left wrist and the shut club face is the answer to everyone's problem, is it? Right?
But it's no longer, in my view, a no-go zone.
True.
Where once upon a time it was a no-go zone,
Absolutely.
and people like Lee Trevino and Arnold Palmer were looked upon as freaks.
Yep.
Freaks.
Yep.
Not anymore. I'm way off that now.
Let's talk about.
There's too much evidence suggesting that a bowed left wrist is the way to go.
Well, it certainly is one of the ways to go.
Well, that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
I'll take what I've said back.
And I think
that is one of the ways to go.
If you go back to what some of the great teachers have always taught, and that is, show me that you can hit all the shots and show me that you can hit them under pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to try to understand. I think Butch Harmon was great for this. Yeah. I'm going to try to understand why you hit the ball as well as you do. He was great with Stuart Sink. Yep. He was great with Tiger Woods. Yep. He was great with Freddie Couples. Right? He didn't make them all look the same.
No.
You know, like, one of the things I always remember, and I bring this bloke's name up every week, Dale Lynch, he said that the best feel for Jeff Ogilvy, swing-wise, that he ever had, was to feel as toe down as he possibly could at the top, and then throw the club at the ball. And we got to.
Isn't that amazing?
We got to remember
that is a crazy way to play.
Exactly. We got to remember he led all-round stats on tour for a period of 3 or 4 years. He was either up there, and that is in ball striking, chipping, putting, everything, pitching.
But but see, the whole point is that this opens things up a bit. What we are seeing at the moment, in my view, now there might be teachers out there that are saying no, we want square club face, traditionally square club face, and I get that if you've been brought, but to me at the moment there is too much evidence that some of the purest hitters of the golf ball, under pressure, are guys with not only a bowed left wrist but a shut club face, coming into the ball on the way back, and just something that I noticed with it, because you see it on the telly and you fiddle around. When I bow my left wrist at the top,
Yep.
my right forearm
Yes.
kind of comes
Sucks in, yeah.
It sucks in.
Yep.
And it feels like it's a much more solid piece of golf apparatus.
Yep.
Right? Just the way my arms are hinged in there, instead of it being out and loose like I've played my whole life, trying to get an open club face at the top.
Yes.
So I didn't want the ball to go left.
Yep.
That was my thinking. And, you know, I had an arm, like my elbows were so far apart my whole life.
Yep.
With a shut club face at the top, my elbow, there's no way your elbows can be
True.
a long way apart.
True.
So
Now I showed
I
you.
wish Dustin Johnson was around when I was a kid.
I showed you a video of Matty Goggin before we came on.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Right.
So tell people about Matty Goggin's swing.
But he has a very different elbow position to Dustin Johnson, doesn't he?
No.
So at the top of his swing, he has a very high right elbow, almost like a Nicholas, you know, his elbows are a long way apart.
His right forearm definitely doesn't point to the ground like you see at Tiger Woods or
Correct.
Ben Hogan.
Or an Adam Scott or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But what he does unbelievably well is he pushes the club wide from the top, which is, again, not what a lot of kids are working on. They're trying to create this lag, and a lot of the kids are doing it the wrong way. But as he pushes the club away, he delivers a really strong club face as well. And he is one of the most pure ball strikers that I ever... Did you play much with Goggy?
Yeah, when he first came on tour, I used to play a lot with him.
I think...
But he wasn't that good then.
Really?
Yeah, he got better. He got better. He
was an Australian amateur champion before he turned pro.
Yeah, but he got better. I mean, he was always throwing clubs. I guess
that's what you hated.
He was an angry man.
He was an angry man.
You couldn't. I mean, I used to laugh, and he used to get madder in the practice rounds. I used to laugh. He'd get so mad he wouldn't talk to you for the rest of the day.
I'll tell you a funny story about him and Adam Scott, though.
Yeah, go on.
And again, I heard this from Super Coach Dale Lynch.
Yep.
Dale, Goggy and Adam Scott play a practice round together.
Yeah.
And at the conclusion of the practice round, Matt Goggin comes off and says, God, I love the way Adam Scott flights the golf ball.
As everybody
Can you
does.
teach me to flight the ball that way? Goes away, changes his driver, tinkers, tries to get this more low penetrating flight, right?
Hang on, can I take you back? That was back in the days of 7.5 and 8 degree drivers, and I remember Dale Lynch telling me that he made Goggy a 10.5 degree drive, which was unheard of back in the day with the old ball, and got Matty Goggin to practice with the 10.5 degree trying to hit it low.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, so
that.
Apparently what he's gone and done is change things so he could get the ball to come out lower and more penetrating. So whatever he's done.
So Goggy's trying to copy Adam Scott.
And I'm assuming Lynchy was trying to talk him out of it, saying, you know, you flight the ball great. Anyway, a couple of months later, they come around, they run into Adam Scott again, and he's been struggling with his driving a little bit, and he's talking to Lynch. He goes, yeah, ever since that day I was playing with Goggy, I loved the way he flighted it. So I changed my action so I could flight it high and penetrate the wind like Goggy. So they're both working on each other's ball flights. And that's happening at the top of the game.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, it is.
So you got Goggy and Adam Scott playing one practice round together.
Yeah.
Goggy decides after that practice round to try and flight it like Adam Scott. Yeah. And Adam Scott tries to flight it like Goggy.
Yeah, Matty Goggin.
Oh, that is
a true story.
That is insane.
And that's at the top of the game. And, I believe they played at Hawaii in the wind. And they both flight it really well in the wind in a different way.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, one's low and more penetrating, one's high and just no spin on the ball.
No spin?
Yeah.
Both work.
Both work.
The grass is always greener.
And I think that's the motto tonight, Marco. You've got to be able to help someone make what they do well better, or find the pattern with which to help them the most.
Absolutely, no doubt. Otherwise, where's the next John Rahm going to come from? Where's the next kid who swings it like John Rahm going to come to Australia? Or the next kid who swings it like maybe a Dustin Johnson? Can you imagine coaches trying to get Dusty to cup his left wrist at the top?
Well, if we look at a Jim Furyk, right? Or we look, this is not new stuff. In fact, this has been going on for 30 years. So
it is amazing. It is amazing. Anyway, we need to talk about this maybe a little later.
Okay.
At one of the other shows. Chasing Birdies, thanks to St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland, and I believe in that. It is an absolute cracker. Stacey Keating's going to join us next. Her name is Stacey Peters these days. Multiple winner on the ladies tour. She's got a new role at Golf Australia, one that we are very interested in.
on 1116 SEN. Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
And we're broadcasting live from X-Golf Malvern, and we, Craig, have just witnessed something unbelievable. The first one we've seen. But a man, congratulations, a man called Nash has just had a hole-in-one right in front of us on the X-Golf. Nash, congratulations.
Yes. I'd like to say there's a lot of skill in it, but not really.
What club did you hit?
7-iron.
A 7-iron, right?
Which I don't hit it as far as many people, but accuracy, I think.
Now, we were alerted, weren't we, Craig, when everybody on the green couches back here were just going, come on, it's in, and bang, it's gone in.
Yeah,
first one?
Yes, first one anywhere, anytime. So
now the question is, Craig.
Yes.
Do you count a hole-in-one at X-Golf Malvern as a hole-in-one?
The Ox wouldn't, would he?
No, the Ox wouldn't. No, the Ox would not, but I do.
I was interested to hear that he worked on bowing his right wrist. Are you a lefty?
Yes.
He bowed his right wrist and created a closed butt face on the way down, didn't you?
Isn't that the way you're supposed to do it?
It's like you and Dustin Johnson. Hey, congratulations, Nash.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well done. 7-9 straight in the hole here at X-Golf Malvern.
Yeah, I'll have to do it
What do you get? Do you get anything?
A beer for life.
What does he get, Daniel?
A mug. Oh, fantastic.
You get a beer every time you come in.
There you go.
See you every night for the next 10 years.
Good on you. Well done. Well done to you.
Thank you.
There we go. A live hole-in-one on radio. I don't think it's ever been done before. I'll tell you what else hasn't been done before. We've never seen one of our favourites on Chasing Birdies, who is a multiple winner on the ladies' tours right around the world. Her name used to be Stacey Keaton. These days it's Stacey Peters, and she is now the female national pathway manager at Golf Australia. And she joins us on Chasing Birdies. G'day, Stacey.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, we're very excited about the hole-in-one, Stace.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm feeling the excitement.
Yeah, it's fair. How many holes in one have you had, Stace?
Well, none at X-Golf.
None at X, yes. What about in real golf?
7 in real time.
Oh, my
well
God.
Done. What about you? How many have you had?
Yeah, I think 7 as well.
7 as well?
Yeah.
You've done very well.
What about you?
I've had 11.
What?
11, yeah.
You played
of course
too.
he has.
I played too much golf.
I have had 11. Hey, that doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Now, Stace, I tell you what, you were a very, very, very good player. Multiple winner, like I've been saying, a Victorian Open winner. And this is a very important role, the female national pathway manager. When did you start chasing this position up?
It's probably been in the last couple of months, I guess, or when the role came out and I started thinking about it, I guess. But I've probably been thinking, down this road for the last probably 18 months or so, when I sort of haven't been playing as many tournaments due to our schedule in Europe, and which has allowed me to, do a couple of other things. And, I've really, I've really quite enjoyed it, to be honest. And, when this opportunity came up, I, I inquired and then went through the process and, and obviously was lucky enough to get the gig. So it's something I'm really looking forward to.
So, Stacey, will you manage a playing career at all anymore, or is this the end of the playing days? How will you sort of manage that?
No, I'm definitely going to play the rest of the season on the European Tour. And then I'm going to play the Aussie Summer, depending on what the job sort of allows, and I'm hoping to incorporate it as well, whether it's to be taking girls along with me. Obviously, maybe, it's not going to be as much of a priority as the role. But, I definitely want to keep my hand in there. And, I absolutely, I'm not going to lie, I would miss that side of it a lot. But, it's just, I think it's the right time for me right now. But I love playing golf. I still do, and so I'm hoping to do some of it down the track.
And I think you're perfect for it. But I've been out at the junior tournament scene for a few years now, Stacey, since I finished playing. It's quite a few years now. And at some tournaments, Stace, there are very few young girls competing, maybe as low as 3, 2, 3, 4 at some of the lesser known tournaments. And so we really do need a focus on this, don't we, desperately? And I'd be interested to hear what your first plans are. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously that's a big thing, the participation level. But, at the other end of the scale, like the high performance side of things, we really want to be making sure that these girls are on the right track, on the right pathway to making things, a smooth transition for them, from the amateur ranks to the professional ranks. And, I guess we really need to understand what the woman, what their needs are. And obviously, hopefully I'll use some of my experiences, both good and bad, to be making this a smoother transition for them as well.
Stace, tell me this. When I was coming through, kids like Robert Elmy, Stuart Appleby, ripped out of school, and they were there to play their golf. Richard Green was a little bit the same as well. Adam Scott, his dad was the manager at a golf club, and, he was just there every day after school. Pretty much everyone I knew as a professional golfer, they either lived next to a golf course, like I lived next to Huntingdale Golf Club, or their parents were just unbelievable. Now, in today's world, when we see the Koreans and how much they practice and how much their families put into it, I mean, I see this as being one of the issues, because we still want to get our kids to have an education. We want them to go to school. There's got to be a plan B involved. Do you think
I couldn't agree more with that. I think the education is a huge part of it, and life balance. I mean, it comes. Yeah. I think with getting an education, working your practice around it. I mean, I think that's healthy.
Yeah,
I definitely will be encouraging that.
I want to put this to you. I know there was a high school up in Queensland that Stephen Bowditch went to, and
the Hills,
and Adam Scott. I'm not sure what it was called.
Coralban, and now the Hills. Yeah.
Do you think, Stace, at some stage, when you see a 14 or a 15-year-old girl who wants to have a real go?
Yeah.
Do you think down the track, 10 years from now, if you put your mind behind it, that we will have a facility in each state, a bit like Queensland, that help these really talented kids become incredibly talented, and that is with a high school education in the background as well?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and whether it's a long way down the track or not, it's something we can be aiming towards. But I definitely think education is a huge part of it. I think overall it helps. Yeah.
So, Craig, I mean, I know when I was a kid coming through, golf was the only way out for me, and I was wagging school every day.
Yeah.
Every single day, and don't do that, kids, if you're listening. Don't wag school every day. It's a very, very big risk, a huge risk.
It is.
But you growing up in the country, I bet you were living right around the corner from the course. It was a different kind of prospect from city kids these days, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that's why country kids do so well at sport in general, but especially golf, because you've got access to the course 7 days a week. Every day you can play in the comps with the members.
Yeah.
You don't have to, show up at 3:30 or 4. You can play every day.
It's so important, isn't it?
I used to I used to do sport at school, and I'd go up the golf course and play in the men's comp.
Yeah.
It is very important, and Stacey's the right one to work on this, I think.
Yeah, and now Stace, tell me, getting kids into tournaments, that's the other big one. How much say will you have in maybe getting some, even if the fields are small, organising tournaments for 15 and 16-year-old girls?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how much say I'll have in that sort of thing. That's something we'll have to look into.
It's important though, isn't it?
What's that, sorry?
It's important to get the kids playing in tournaments early, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's only so much practice you can be doing without having the bigger competitions. Yeah.
And Stacey, last one from me. Other than participation, getting the girls into it, what other parts of the role do you see yourself playing, or what other aspects to your role will there be?
Yeah, well, I think, obviously using a lot of my experiences, like I said before, to be helping the girls, even like with their training, with their practices, monitoring that sort of thing, helping them if they're struggling, whether it's the motivation side of things, with direction, with their goals.
Nice.
Sort of setting plans in place so that they're keeping on track with where they want to get to and where that we think is a great, pathway for them.
Hey, Stace, we think you're going to be an amazing mentor for these kids. Congratulations on your career, and we want congratulations once again on your position at Golf Australia. I think it's an absolute sensational appointment. Well done.
Hey, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good on you. Stacey
Stace.
Peters there, multiple winner on the LPGA circuits around the world, and these days she's going to be the female national pathway manager. A great appointment from Golf Australia. Chasing Birdies, thanks to St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland. Coming up next, we're going to be speaking to Mark Hayes from Golf Australia. Go have a look at his stuff on golf.org.au.
On 1116 SEN, Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Now we're going to get to Mark Hayes from Golf Australia. He's the media manager, and you can read his stuff at golf.org.au. Brought to you by Kerr Lewis Golf Club. I reckon Kerr Lewis would just be starting to get polished up a little bit down there. A little bit warmer weather.
Mint,
Should
mate.
be looking pretty good. Now the All-Australian side in the AFL is being announced tonight, and so far they've just done the back line. Back pocket, Michael Hibbert. Fullback, Alex Rance. And the other back pocket, Jeremy McGovern. Pretty hard to argue.
They missed one.
Oh.
Batman should have been in there.
Liam Jones. Thanks for listening to the run home. Appreciate it.
I love it.
Cameron Mooney would be rapt to hear that, I can promise you. But Michael Hibbert, Alex Rance and Jeremy McGovern. Pretty much I don't think anyone can argue with that, not even Mark Hayes, thanks to Kerr Lewis Golf Club. G'day, Hazy.
They couldn't pick Guy Vickery at fullback there. I'm absolutely baffled.
Next year. Maybe next year, Hazy. Maybe next year. Hey, Hazy, well, just before we get to your stuff, just talking to Stacey Peters, who's the new National Pathway Manager for the girls at Golf Australia. And we're talking about, you know, so many good players came out of Coralbin Valley, the high school up in Queensland, and I think there was another one there as well. Adam Scott's a product, Matthew Bowditch is a product, Jason Day went there as well.
Yeah, the Hills.
Do you reckon one day, and I'm hoping for this, and I know Cam's text through as well, he said Rowville Secondary already has a sports academy that has golf. I'm not sure who the
Good
coach
players.
is there.
Timmy Wendell's the head coach.
Is he?
Cameron.
Yes, Cameron John.
Yeah, right.
Killing it
All right,
out of there.
He's doing very,
Got a
very
lot of
well.
good players there.
So there's some examples here, Hazy, about, you know, some very big name players who are getting looked after with a plan B by going to school. But pretty much, you know, let's get you educated up, and maybe it takes a couple of years for you to get your HSC, or what do they call it these days? VCE?
ATAR scores and
all that sort of stuff. do you reckon down the track, Mark, that this should be something that we really have a very good look at, to where we have one or two schools in every state, or certainly maybe two schools in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria, and maybe one in the other states? So I think, to me, to get the best talented kids, and the reason I'm saying this, Hazy, is because when I was a kid, and people just think it happens pretty naturally, but, you know, Richard Green didn't finish school. He played golf from about 15 years onwards. I think Robert Ellenby was taken out of school really early, like 14 years old, just to be a golfer. Stuart Appleby, same sort of thing up at Kahuna. I don't think he went back to school from 15. I had to wag school every single day of my life, which explains a hell of a lot, Hazy, a hell of a lot. To get anywhere near it. Do you think one day we've got to have a look at this and say, listen, if we really want a lot of players and take on the world, is this a way to do things moving forward?
Well, it's a really interesting concept because, you know, we've all talked about before, and obviously you've had your personal experience with it, Marco, the American collegiate system where, you know, you're guaranteed an education, and we see those ads for the NCAA where, you know, only a very small percentage of college athletes go on and become professional sports people, men or women, but they all come out with a great education and something to fall back on. And, you know, if that's a really good concept. I'm not sure what Stacey said about it. Sorry, I was otherwise occupied. But, you know, especially for the bigger states in area. You know, there's a couple of guys from New South Wales, James Grierson, who's just sort of hit the headlines a bit in the last couple of months with his play in the US. He actually comes from a little town, or not a little town, but Forbes, in central New South Wales, and for him, for a million years, it was just too far to get up to Sydney constantly. So he's making a very late run at being competitive amateur, but that sort of system you're suggesting might actually help overcome that. It's a pretty good idea, I reckon.
Well, like in America, in high school golf in America, I think they practice 3 or 4 times a week. Their school finishes at 3 o'clock over there, and sometimes, earlier at 2 o'clock in middle school and high school. And then pretty much 3 or 4 days a week, if you really have the crack, 5 or 6 days a week. Let's see how good I can become at golf before I try and win myself a scholarship in college. To me, if we're going to be battling these types of players, and Europe's got their different systems, and I know up in Sweden they're doing something pretty similar as well. It just makes sense to me that we've got to explore this one way or another, and get some schools where perhaps instead of doing your final year or your final 2 years, instead of doing your final 2 years in 2 years, maybe for some of the elite golfers, maybe they do their last 2 years over 3 years, or their last 2 years at school over 4 years, or whatever it is. So that one, mums and dads are happy that the kids are getting the plan B, but two, selfishly, that Golf Australia and us who love golf, we want to see as many Australians as possible trying to win the big trophies. They get their best opportunity at these really early learning years and become very good golfers early so they can move on and take on the world.
And Carl Phillips is a really good example of that, actually, now, Marco, now that we're talking about it. I mean, Saddlebrook Prep over in Florida, and he's already committed himself to Stanford. So he's basically got 6 or 7 years of education lined up alongside his golf. He's going to be one of the more experienced amateur golfers we'll have seen for quite a while by the time he decides to go pro. But, it'd be good to be able to keep the kids at home. Obviously, Carl's doing great things there and has access to McCormick in Texas as his main coach whenever he needs it now. But
pretty handy.
It's very handy. But, it's a good concept that you raise, and I'll bring it up with the powers that be. How about that?
Yeah, good.
Hey, on this subject, I'll ask you both a question.
Yeah.
If we went out to South Oakley Tech, right?
Yeah, good school.
Right,
strong
great school, right? Or we went to Murrumbina High or wherever, right? And Hazy, wherever, what was the name of Camperdown High, was it?
Yeah, that'll do.
All right. How many of the kids that play sport in your schools chose golf? How far down the pecking order before you got a golfer?
Oh, when I was a kid,
nearly.
I hid the fact I played golf.
Footy was nearly 99% of them.
Yep.
Cricket in the summer. Then you might get a few that do soccer, basketball, big. How long before you get the golfers? Hazy, I'm interested to know, is the biggest threat the fact that we get such last dibs at our athletes in this country, our young athletes?
That's a really good point. I reckon at my school, I actually went to Belmont High School in Geelong, and we actually had a couple of really good elite baseballers before we even got considered to play golf. There were no golfers at all of note at my school. Or maybe, actually, I told a lie, there was one, and he ended up going to the US collegiate system, but he was sort of scoffed at school as being a bit of a, why would you play golf? So to answer your question, I think that's a yes, definitely. You see Australia struggling mightily in rugby union at the moment, and that's because not because we're terrible players, but because it's the first choice of athletes for New Zealand, and that's who we're comparing ourselves to. So maybe golf has got that same problem.
I tell you what, I reckon high school golf needs a competition in every state, and there needs to be an elite school that probably don't compete, the elite golfers. We don't want them involved, but it should happen, Hazy. And I reckon Craig Spence and Stacey Peters might be two good people to oversee the whole thing. Hey, what's happening in the world of Golf Australia, buddy?
We had Travis Smythe named to what formerly was the national squad, and now he's an athlete who's a benchmark athlete, I should say.
Yep.
So his performance in reaching the final 8 rather, at the US Amateur got him up into 22nd in the world, which is sufficient with his other achievements to become a benchmark athlete. So that was a great achievement. They're very hard to come by these days. And he's one of 6 guys going across and representing us at the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship at Royal Wellington coming up. So a big month ahead for these guys, because they all know that a green jacket or a chance to win a green jacket is at the end of the line there. So 6 guys, none from Victoria this time around, 3 from New South Wales, 2 from Queensland, and Min Woo Lee from Perth. So they're in good nick. I'd say we'd have a strong chance of bringing home another Asia Pacific title.
Hazy, just a real quick one. You make me think about Augusta there with the green jacket. And I think with their drive, pitch and putt
Oh, yeah.
initiative.
There we go.
It's amazing how powerful they are in generating interest in the US at that very young age. And for a club to recognise that and take on that initiative as they do.
Yeah.
And I just think
Sunday before the Australian Open, perhaps?
You know, imagine if you created some high school tournaments and you said, by the way, you're playing in the Pro-Am with Jordan Spieth at the Australian Open.
No, that's primary school.
Right?
Primary school.
Primary school.
Yeah,
I don't care if they're in the kindergarten.
There's 2 projects for you that could set up Australian golf for the next 100 years. Sorry for dumping it on you, but we wish you well.
Just before you go, that drive, chip and putt has definitely been mentioned as a possibility for Australia.
Ooh, there we go.
The Green Jackets at Augusta National have just got a sort of rubber stamp, but they were not too keen to take it outside the continental USA. But you only have to be at Augusta on that Sunday before the Masters to realise how big a thing that's quickly become, and I reckon that's a huge thing if we can get that over the line.
Good on you, Hazy. Thanks for joining us once again on Chasing Birdies. We much appreciate it. Look forward to reading your stuff on golf.org.au, and also look forward to getting down to Curlewis and having a hit as well. It's a great golf course.
Thanks, boys.
Good on you. Mark Hayes there, the Golf Australia Media Manager. This is Chasing Birdies live from X-Golf Melbourne. And after the break, I'll have a look at the halfback line and the centres for you as well in the Australian, All-Australian team.
On 11:16 SEN, Chasing Birdies with Mark Allen and Craig Spence for St Andrews Beach, the best public access golf course on the Australian mainland.
Craig Spence, the 99 Australian Masters champ. It's 18 years ago when that happened, and still waving here, which no one really paid any attention to. Just
still clapping there.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them at the back.
Of course they are. They're very happy, though. They're very happy to know that you actually did that once upon a time. We're live from X-Golf Melbourne. A big thanks to Daniel Long and the entire team here. It was absolutely sensational to see a hole-in-one by Nash, who we had on the show before. Good on you, Nash. How you been going since? So he's been playing like garbage since, apparently, which is no good.
Ox would be due for another one soon.
Oh, I think one's enough for him. I couldn't handle another one. With the Ox. Now, the All-Australian side, it's a big night tonight. It's being announced. We just did the back line before. Michael Hibbert, Alex Ranson, Jeremy McGovern. The half-back line is Rory Laird, Michael Hurley and Sam Doherty. And the centre line is Josh Kelly, Dustin Martin and Zach Merritt. I'll tell you what, there's some big names going around there. Hey, the high school golf stuff.
Yep.
It's very important, I think. I know we've just kind of...
You know what I'd love to see?
Speaking about it, but I think it's very important.
You go to America.
We'll be left behind otherwise.
You go to America, and they have issues with their... The thing they do really well is competition.
Oh.
And they have the biggest leaderboards, and they have...
Yeah.
Beautiful pyramids of balls on the tees, and they have, you know,
you feel like you're turning up to a tournament.
And they have buffet lunches going. And I know you have to pay. Like some of our boys just went over there. Some of the ACS boys went over and played a tournament. How much are they paying? Palmetto. And I think it was about
Palmetto.
Yeah, they played the Palmetto amateur.
That's a big one.
They paid $300 or $400 to enter, right? Aussie, right? But their player pack, their gift pack, and they get lunches every day and dinners every day. Right? But their player pack had brand new shoes.
What?
2 or 3 dozen golf balls. I'm not kidding.
Amazing.
Shirts, hats, right? So
incredible.
They felt like they were even before they teed off.
Yeah.
With the entry fee. Now,
it's a different world over there, though, isn't it?
They've got a lot more money over there, but just look, tournament scene here would be awesome to just go harder with those types of things.
Well, look, I'd love to see the high schools. I think that's step number one. And I reckon there'd be other sports as well. Tennis would enjoy that school. You know, athletics would enjoy that school. Golf would be a massive thing in that school. Maybe even cricket at a young age. I mean, I don't know, but I think there's a place for it in the Australian psyche because sport is such a massive part of our life. The followers, Paddy Ryder, the ruckman, Paddy Dangerfield and Tom Mitchell, pretty strong. Coming up on the feature hour with Jeff Polder, special guest, Joel Bowden. Spark, thanks for coming in. We'll catch you next week. And Friday, I know you're out there, buddy. Thanks again for letting us talk sport, letting us talk golf on your show.